there, and welcome to this segment of Take 5 with Tony. Today we're talking about one of those false choices, and this one relates to trade, and this our third in a series on U.S. trade policy. Now, trade is a big issue right now with the presidential debates, and you'll hear the media, including NPR, talk about trade, and oftentimes they will present it as if it's a choice between having free trade deals, like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, or not having free trade, not being able to export and sell our products and services to other countries, not being able to import goods from around the world that we want or need. But it's a false choice. The truth is that we have a great deal of trade where we don't have trade deals. So let's start with the Trans-Pacific Basin, the 11 countries, besides the U.S., that are part of the proposed TPP. Right now, we do $725 billion a year in trading with those 11 countries. $725 billion with no TPP, with no overarching trade deal of any kind. Over the last 10 years, we've seen our exports to those 11 countries increase much faster than our imports have gone coming from those countries, so much so that our trade deficit with the TPP countries has fallen 31%. Now that compares with a change in our trade deficit of only 6% for the rest of the folks with whom we trade. Additionally, we've gone from having 9 out of those 11 countries having a trade deficit with them to now having a trade surplus with 6 out of 11. So let's see. No TPP, no big trade deal. We've got $725 billion a year in trade. We've got change from trade deficits to trade surpluses in more than half of the countries. And overall, we've seen a dramatic reduction in our trade deficit with those nations, with no trade deal. Now, let's compare that with a recent trade deal with a country not too far from those, South Korea. We signed a trade deal, the Obama administration, in 2012, known as KORUS. In the 3 years since we inked that deal with South Korea, we've seen our deficit, our trade deficit with South Korea, increase by almost $9 billion. And, according to the Economic Policy Institute, the loss of close to 90,000 American jobs as a result of that dramatic increase in the trade deficit. No trade deal with the TPP countries. Things going pretty good. Lots of trade. More exports coming from the U.S. than imports coming back. Trade deficits falling. Trade deal with South Korea, or for that matter, you could talk about NAFTA or CAFTA. And what do we see? Increasing trade deficits, loss of U.S. jobs, and falling imports relative to exports. It's a false choice. Here's the reality. There's nobody who doesn't want trade, who doesn't want free trade, for whatever reason. For great electronic products, for interesting cultural exchange, or in my case, for damn good olive oil from Italy. We all want free trade. But the truth is, we don't need terrible trade deals negotiated in utter secrecy with only corporate representatives there to put their points of view forward. Trade deals that create more and more advantages for the few against the many. We don't need those kinds of trade deals to have free trade. So let's stop talking about trade and trade deals as if they're one and the same. They're not. And if we're going to forge trade deals going forward, they ought to be good deals, negotiated in the open, with consumer, labor, environmental, and citizens groups involved. Trade deals that are good for America and American workers. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.